Hello and welcome to the Virtual Y. My name is Njigia and this is your Somatic movement class. Today we're going to do some movement practice connecting to our ancestors and our inner child. And before going into the movement practice, I did want to share a short little story, and it really goes aligned with the movement practice. And I believe it's a story that many of you can probably relate to some degree. So I actually went to a concert just a few days ago, and it was a Christmas concert. And I went in there not really knowing even what type of music it was going to be. I didn't even really know it was going to be a Christmas concert. I just knew it was going to be a beautiful concert, something to get dressed up to, and just to enjoy some good music. And as I sat down, I started to recognize that, oh, I think this is going to be a Christmas concert. And the singer started to sing, and immediately I felt as if the singer just sounded like an angel. Like my whole body was just like, felt like it was being rained on with love and blessings. And I was just immersed in this energy, and I felt intoxicated by the beauty that I felt on stage. And I'm sitting in this concert, I'm just receiving all of this beauty. And all I can see and think about is my mom, who's recently passed away. And I almost saw her face to the right of me, gazing at the concert and then gazing at me and being just so deeply in love with the music and also just with the energy that the musicians brought to the theater. And even during the intermission, there was this older woman that was seated in my row, and she just looked like my mom. She had the essence of my mother, very charismatic and just beautiful and stunning and gorgeous accessories and clothing. And she started to speak to me, and she was telling me that she loved my dress. And my mom was very much into clothes and hair and makeup, and she would be the first person to express her love for something I was wearing. And so this older woman was just telling me how much she adored my outfit. And so we started talking, for about the next 10 minutes during the intermission. And then after the concert, I was so taken back by the whole experience, from the older woman in my row to the beautiful musicians on stage, also to the moments of during the intermission, they had a gorgeous tree, Christmas tree in the hallway. And they invited everyone to put bulbs on the tree. If there was someone in their life that they wish was there, that we could put the bulbs on the Christmas tree. So they were inviting us to connect with our loved ones that weren't around. They were also sharing stories of their past and of their childhood. And so, how this had me feel when I left, I was just literally sinking and soaking in all of the beauty of this concert. It really reminded me of my inner child. One of the things that my inner child, I would say, wanted more than anything is to have those deep connections with my elders, like I did with the woman in my row. Another thing my inner child wanted more than anything was to see people living their purpose and to be doing it so in such a way of deep expression, as I saw these men do on stage. And another thing that my inner child deeply wanted was to see people unite and to come together in a space of love. And that's exactly what I felt at this concert. If you looked around in the auditorium, there was people of all ages, all races, all backgrounds, and they all were like under this one roof of love. At least that was the energy that I felt the musicians brought. And so I left there feeling so deeply held, but also I felt as if my inner child was also deeply held. And then the experience of my mom coming as well was a whole nother added experience on top of the concert itself. And so I say all that as our parts of us, there's so many parts of us, and these like parts of us that are related to our inner child can be deeply craving experiences in our own bodies and in our lives. And there's experiences happening around us all day long, every day, that are healing moments. They're moments that are giving blessings to us and to our inner child. If we're aware enough and alert enough, and if we're in the moment enough, we can receive those blessings. And they come in forms of concerts. They come in form of strangers like that lady that was seated in my row who want to share a beautiful moment of connection with you. They come in form of stories of other people sharing stories of their lives. They come to us in so many ways. And I was very present during that concert. So I was able to receive the nourishment of all of these little bits and pieces of expressions of love that my inner child deeply wanted at that age. And I'm receiving them now as a woman. And I can take them in and love them and honor them and have so much gratitude for them. And so I want to bring that story in as a base because we all have had moments like that in our lives. And so I want to take a moment where we can just get seated on our yoga mats or on our chair, and we can remain with our eyes open if that feels good, and maybe placing one hand on our heart. I want to invite you to, for you to tune in to maybe the past weekend or maybe the past week, and hopefully we can go in just the week or the weekend, not too far before. And just in that moment of either this past few days or the past 7 days of an experience in your life that you can think of that deeply touched you. Something that happened, maybe something you watched, something somebody said, maybe even just a glance at somebody at a grocery store, that the way that they looked at you. Something that brought some deep nourishment, healing, blessings, love, connection in a way that feels like it was nourishing your inner child. Can you bring that moment to the surface right now, to your mind's eye? Can you bring that moment to your heart? Maybe even breathing into your heart right now. Breathing in that experience, that connection. Letting it be held deep within you. And see if you can give yourself just a few moments to sink into that experience and to allow that experience to overwhelm you in the most beautiful way. That feeling of me at the concert, the reason I was so feeling intoxicated by the musicians is because I allowed myself to sit there and to allow that beauty, that love that I felt on stage to reign over me. I chose not to just be a bystander looking at it, but I chose to receive it fully. And so in this moment, see if you can receive fully that experience that you had in the past few days or last week. Maybe your inner child deeply wanted to feel seen. And maybe somebody just thanked you in a way that felt so true and so real and so honest and so loving, where you felt seen. And see if you can breathe that into your heart. I think it's so interesting a lot of times to remember when we were little, if that's 5 years old or 12 or maybe even a teenager, like 14, 16 years old, and thinking of how we were back then and what we wanted more than anything, what we wanted to experience, what we wanted to feel, and then thinking about your life now and thinking that a lot of times in our lives right now, there's so many more goals that we have, so many things we want to do in our lives. This is the time of year where we're planning what's going to be happening in our world in 2024. This is the time of year where we're reflecting on our past year of 2023, of our own personal life, of our families, of our communities. And it's a lot of like, I want to get here, I need to get here, I need to do this. But we're going to take a moment to just like, again, placing our hand on our heart and maybe even closing our eyes this time. And just recognizing that there's parts of us that our inner child would be so proud of. That experience that you brought up, that you experienced in the past few days or in the past week. That experience that brought some blessing, some deep nourishment to your inner child. It's like, wow, your inner child can say, wow, we experienced that. That's our life. Somebody actually saw us. That 8-year-old you must have been or might have been crying for someone to actually see it and to know that right now, just recently, someone fully saw you. Breathing into that experience that there's parts of you that are your deepest wishes that you had as a young one. Your inner child might be looking at you just so proud to know that it is you and you are it. that you have done all that you've done, you've been all that you've been, you've become the person that you are now, that you experienced life in such a way. And so breathe into that, into your heart, like allowing yourself to really melt into that. And you can slowly begin to open your eyes and maybe rubbing your hand almost like you have this lotion or this oil, this ointment of that blessing that you received in your life, and just rubbing that over your heart space, over the upper part of your chest. Allowing that not just to be an experience of a memory that's in your mind, but letting it become one with you. And you can slowly begin to just wind your body, almost imagining that ointment that you just rubbed on your chest is almost like melting down, as if it's like some oil that's literally beginning to move down your body as you're moving in circles, slow circles. That experience of that blessing doesn't just hold in your chest, it's now moving all around. Every area of your body that you turn into a circular motion, that oil seems to drip in that area. Maybe taking your right hand and placing it on your head just like this, and bringing the right part of your ear just a little closer to your right shoulder. As you glare upward towards the right side of the room, not pulling too hard on your neck or your head, just a little firm hold. Looking into the right part of the corner of your room. Breathing in slowly as the right ear slowly begins to meet as closely as possible while it not being too discomfort. Bringing that right ear to your right shoulder. Bringing some breath to this hold. Breathing in that blessing that you received this week or weekend. Stretching through your neck, giving some exposure to your neck, to the part of you that has so much to share, so much truth. Your throat chakra. Bringing in that blessing to that area of the throat. Giving you access to express that blessing that you received. Again, no longer just a passive receiving, but allowing it to become a part of you, a part of your own expression. Breathing into that space. You can remove your hand and maybe placing your hand on your lap and just closing your eyes. And just noticing the difference of how the right side of you feels compared to the left side of you. Noticing sensation-wise what feels different on the right side of your body compared to the left. And still noticing that blessing that you received over the weekend or over the past week. Feeling that blessing take space within you. And slowly opening your eyes and taking your left hand this time and doing it on the other side, bringing your left hand to the right side of your head, bringing that left ear to meet a little bit closer to your left shoulder. And taking your gaze, your eyes to the left corner of the room, upward towards the ceiling. Not pulling too hard on your head, just a gentle hold. As you bring deep, intentional breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Feeling that stretch along your neck, opening up that part of your throat. Breathing in that blessing that you have received over the past weekend or the past week. The blessing that would have been so nourishing for your younger you, that maybe she or he deeply wanted, so deeply needed. Recognizing that you did receive that blessing this week or this weekend. Again, in the form of a conversation or something you read or an experience you had in yoga class or in meditation or on a walk. Breathing in that blessing. Slow, deep inhales and exhales. You can take your left hand and bring it back into your thigh and maybe closing your eyes gently. Breathing into your body and just noticing the sensations of what it feels like on both sides, the left and the right side. What sensations do you notice? What emotions are you feeling? You can slowly open up your eyes and bring into your mind's eye right now exactly what is something that you needed deeply as a little child, your inner child, your younger you. What experience did they need, that they want, that they felt like they did not receive enough of? And take a few moments to think about what that might be. Maybe it's adoration or love or safety, or maybe the child felt like it had to grow up so early and had to be responsible for a lot of things in the home. So maybe what your inner child deeply wanted was to play, was to be a kid. And so think of maybe one thing that your inner child so wanted as a young one and really needed from its caregivers, from the world, from its friends, from its siblings, from other elders in its life, like aunties or grandmas and grandpas. And so when you have that thing that your inner child really needed and wanted as a child, think in your mind what you can give to that part of you somatically. What embodied action can you give to bring that energy to your body right now? That same thing that your inner child needed or wanted. And so I'm going to bring in safety. My inner child deeply wanted to feel safe and loved. And so the way that I'm going to bring that in somatically is I'm going to actually take this bolster right here and I'm going to bring it close to my body in a way that feels really comfortable. So I'm going to move that forward and bring it like this way maybe, and just hold it close to my chest, almost like I'm giving a deep hug to somebody or someone's hugging me. And so think of what you can do somatically to bring in whatever it is that your inner child deeply wanted. And so I'll give you a few examples in case you're having a hard time kind of thinking about that. And so for me, my inner child wanted safety. If I can remember being 8 years old, what I wanted more than anything was to feel safe and loved. And so that might have looked like one of my caregivers or family members, one of my, like my mom or dad or an auntie or older sibling, just holding me and rocking me and maybe humming to me with this energy of I love you. And so that's going to be my somatic experience is I'm going to actually do a few things. I'm going to hold and I'm going to rock and hum with this energy of I love you. And so for you, just to give some examples for those that might have a hard time of figuring out what that could be. So maybe for you, it was you really just needed to have fun. Maybe you really had to take care of your younger siblings and be responsible for coming in and out the house after school and had to make your own food at like the age of 8 or 10 and you just wanted to play, but you had to be so serious. So maybe laughter. So maybe you could literally maybe put your hands on your body, you know, when you're in a deep moment of laughter and just start laughing to yourself right now. And that could be like out loud. And that could be an experience where you're, you know, like when you're really getting into like having a really good time in laughter, you're maybe moving backward and forward and going into deep laughter. That could be your somatic experience. Maybe for someone, it was, I just wanted to feel adored. So maybe just rubbing your hands on your cheeks and maybe even saying, I love you with this deep smile on your face. Maybe just excitement was something that you really needed to have. You needed a family that just felt like they had energy and they were excited. Maybe your family was really serious and really responsible and everything was so serious in the home. It was like, go to school, get good grades, do your sports, and you just wanted to have some fun. And so maybe running around in a circle and just throwing your hands in the air and just laughing or just like skipping around in your environment right now would be an experience to somatically bring in what your inner child deeply needed. So I hope those gave you a few examples. And so I'm going to bring you all into just a few moments of whatever that is. And for some of us, it's going to be seated and doing something really deep and nourishing. And for others, it's going to be running maybe in a circle and skipping and throwing our hands up and just saying fun phrases that bringing this energy of excitement. Whatever it is that you felt like your inner child needed, bring it forward without any holdback or hesitation. If you're in a space where you can freely express and experience this, I'm going to invite you to fully turn up the volume on it and go for it. And give your inner child all of that. Because I'm guessing that inner child in you probably didn't experience people like either the parents or the caregivers or grandparents or friends that felt like they really wanted to fully give that to you at that period of time. Maybe your family didn't really fully express their joy for you and they held back. And so now it's an opportunity to rewrite that. And so I'm going to invite you to not do the same thing that maybe people did to you back then, but just hold back and giving you the energy that you needed. I'm going to invite you to fully go in and give yourself exactly the energy that you needed as a child and not hold back, not water down, not to abandon that part of you that needed it. And so we'll give ourselves just a few moments as we're in this space of giving your inner child somatically what it needed as a child, but giving it to your body right now. And I'll just give us all our own few moments to be in that space. No holding back, no watering down the experience, the somatic experience, to fully give it to you. To know that you deserve to fully receive this energy, that you fully deserve to give yourself, your body, your inner child this experience. Knowing that in this moment you will not hold back, water down, or dismiss your inner child. That you will not do the same thing that maybe others did back when you were little. Knowing your inner child is worthy of this love, of this experience of receiving this love. Knowing the deep honor you might have to give this to you. And take in a deep breath if you haven't already, and see if you can sink even deeper into this experience. No matter if you're on the floor in this nourishing pose with your inner child, or if you're up fully in this expressive place of joy and laughter, to see if you could turn up the volume even more on it. Knowing we don't have to numb out our love for ourselves. We don't have to water down our love, our expression of our love to ourselves. We don't have to match the watered down energy possibly of those that were caregiving for us as a child. We do not have to match that right now as adults. We do not have to numb out our love for ourselves. We do not have to be embarrassed of us giving ourselves that love. We don't have to feel ashamed of giving it or receiving it from ourselves or from others. As we sink deeper into whatever experience you're in of giving yourself somatically that love that your inner child so deeply wanted and needed, knowing we are telling ourselves and all of the parts of us, all of the parts of us that are children, our inner child in us, we're telling it that it is worthy of this love, which we know that it innately is. But it's one thing to believe that we are worthy of this love, but it's another thing to experience it. And knowing this act is somatically giving us the experience that we are worthy of this love. Wherever you are, if you are on the floor, standing, or on your seats, you can put down any props that you had grabbed and maybe come back down to a seated position. And closing your eyes and placing your hands onto your lap and bringing in that experience that you just gave somatically to your body, to your inner child, to breathe that in. Noticing what you're feeling. What parts of your body feel alive and expansive? What parts of your body might feel still a little heavy or contracted? And whatever parts of your body that might be feeling contracted a little bit, you can maybe place a hand on that part of your body, maybe two hands or one hand. And see if you can breathe into that space, breathing in the somatic experience you just gave your body, but breathing it into that one place that's contracted right now. And so I'm going to breathe in the experience of that holding hug energy that I did with the bolster, and that I love you energy, that safety. You can slowly open your eyes when you're ready and coming back into your space. Maybe looking around your room, just orienting yourself back into this environment of where you are. And seeing if you can see through the eyes of that blessing that you just gave yourself, that experience, that somatic experience you gave your body, that you gave your inner child. See if you can actually look through your eyes, through the lens of that experience. And so as I'm looking around my space, I am looking at my environment through my eyes, transmitting this energy of safety, of love, of a deep hold. Allowing that energy to come through my eyes as I orient myself back into my space. You can take in a deep breath, and on the exhale, just sinking into that experience, into that transmission. And thank you all so much for being here for this somatic experience, and I will see you all next week. Have a beautiful rest of your morning. Thank you.
I'm Sarah, and this is Cardio Dance. Are you guys ready to work out? Let's do it.